That's B-roll. That's
Yes.
B-roll today, baby. That's B-roll today, baby.
Yes.
What is
Nuck if you
cracking?
buck. Hey, Angie.
How are you feeling? What is going on with you? It is all about you. Welcome home. Welcome back. It is a blessing to see you.
Thank
Why am
you.
I got too much sunshine coming in on me. There we go.
Sunshine on
Ain't
you.
too much sun. It ain't never gonna be too much sunshine.
Honey, because you the light.
Okay,
Okay.
come on, God. Bring this light
Mm-hmm.
on me. Shine on me, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
receive all of it. I do, I realize that my brain situation with sunlight, my relationship with cloudy days and sunny days, I didn't realize how much I mean, I know we require the sun as humans, but like I be needing the sun.
Mm-hmm.
These shorter
Mm-hmm.
days are not for me.
Yeah.
More of a southern girl. I need that. I need sunlight till 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
This 4 p.m. is not for me.
So do you feel like that increased after your stroke or
I think because my depression and anxiety
yeah.
increased, therefore the feeling of downness, which is normal, in the winter blues, it has a name for a reason, right?
Okay.
But I do think it is more when I have this since the stroke. It is more,
Okay.
I think. I know it is. It definitely affects me more than it did prior.
Yeah. The not having the sun.
The not having the sun, I am in need of sunlight and look at that sun coming back in here.
Okay.
Come on, sun.
You better
But it's
manifest it.
yes. Oh my gosh. But I mean, we all have that, what they clinical weather, there's a word for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than winter blues, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
clinical or weather depression.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, but it's definitely if it would have been at a 5 before, it was at a 7 since the stroke.
Oh
And that would
wow.
be everything. Whatever it was, it's up 2 or 3.
Okay.
Like I used to be able to control my anxiety. Well, now it's a 7. It's on a 7
Mm-hmm.
at all times, unless I
Mm-hmm.
medicate,
Mm-hmm.
you
Sounds
know.
like we might need to do another mental health episode.
Listen,
Part
I
2.
still ain't got no black therapist, so I don't want to call you out. But the reason I called you originally, yeah, do the face. Because the first time I called you, if you recall, before
Yeah.
we done made a podcast, got listeners worldwide.
Right. Worldwide.
Angie still don't have no therapist.
Okay. So one, if you're in the Philly, Jersey area, licensed in that area, Angie is open to therapy.
Yes. Yes, I
Um,
am. I don't even know now. I don't know. Should I?
well,
I
honey,
don't
I'm
know.
back in therapy. So I
Come on,
am a
therapy.
therapy advocate. I think that it's so important to have someone that can help you organize your thoughts.
I've never participated, but I want to. Like if I thought I found the right mix to give me that where I feel seen. So
Mm.
see, I don't
Okay, so we
even
got to make sure I have to make sure that I follow up on that
I'm
because,
just
yeah, you
saying we
did
got a
say, do I know a
podcast.
therapist? And I was like, I don't know a therapist, but I was thinking about a podcast. Can we record our conversations?
Right, right. I don't know nothing what you talking about, but here I'm thinking, oh, that is too much. So listen, well, first of all, let me just say this. Let me spin this around. Welcome home.
Thank you.
Tell me about your first of all, you went to uh Gaza and you were there when things started to just start popping off in October. You were there.
Right, right. Well, I went to Israel, and while I was there, the war started.
Oh my goodness.
And so we had just we had spent some time in the Sea of Galilee, And then I got baptized in the Jordan River,
Oh
which
my
was such an amazing experience because it was
yes.
with my childhood pastor who originally baptized me over 20 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Shout out to
Right.
Pastor. Pastor a shout out.
Yes, Reverend Clarence Moore. You
Hey,
had good
Pastor
old
Moore.
Baptist tub that they dip you down.
Yes, right. That's a full ocean spray plunge.
Exactly. Yeah.
We
And
about
in the
that
Jordan
life.
River, oh my gosh, in the Jordan River, it was
You and
even
your
more
hair. Ain't
beautiful.
nobody cares about your hair. We going in.
We going in,
We
we
going
going
in, baby.
down.
Yes.
Um, so we did that, and then afterwards we were supposed to head to Jericho, and we got word, as they put it, a developing situation. We have a developing situation.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, we're taking you guys straight to Jerusalem. We're not going to Jericho. And as we were driving to Jerusalem, we saw smoke in the distance. And, you don't really, for me, I mean, now that I'm back home and I understand everything that was happening, but there you saw smoke and you thought, there's smoke in the distance. But you don't think that's that's, the
A
war
bomb.
that's starting or a bomb or anything like that.
Right.
And I remember our bus driver driving really, really fast, like just this sense of urgency among
Mhm.
all of the
The
leaders.
locals. The
The,
locals. That's what I wanted to know. How was your guide? How was his demeanor and how did it change from the time you got there when everything was okay
mm-hmm,
versus by the time it was like, yeah, we can't go there. We have to go
mm-hmm,
east or we have to go west. They had to keep keeping you east.
right,
Right, because the West Bank is where it was about to go really bad. So they had to keep bringing you
exactly,
east.
mm-hmm,
Your itinerary that you paid for it said take me west. And
exactly,
y'all didn't really know what was going on
right,
because
right.
they have a developing story or a developing situation.
Situation. Right, right. So they
Mm.
were overall very calm throughout it. I mean, for me, sometimes just because I watch body language, I could see that it went from like sometimes when we were at certain places before everything had started, that they were like, okay, let's go, to where after everything started, they were trying to keep us in certain, what now I would probably consider safe areas longer. But I think the guides were absolutely amazing in the sense of we continued to tour, uh, even while everything was going on, but some of the places obviously we weren't able to go to
Mm-hmm.
because of uh, the war. Um,
Right.
so so after a while, once we realized, well, actually, once Israel declared war, we realized, okay, well, it's time to go.
Right.
Like,
like
my
it's
name Bennett and I ain't in
right, right,
it.
right.
It's time to
It's time to
go.
go home. It's
So
pack it
we,
up.
but some
Y'all can
people
keep
didn't want to
y'all
go.
can keep that coat and that luggage. I'm just gonna take this passport and get on home.
It's
Now, if
time to
I can take the
go.
coat, that would be nice. But I don't need this coat. I'll give you another coat when I get home.
Right, right, right. Yeah. So, it was interesting how the tour guys had a little bit more like, okay, let us keep them safe. Let us move here, move there. I could tell they were very strategic. I could tell that they huddled a lot more and talked.
Mm-hmm.
But the hotel people, that was an interesting space because I think the hotel people were more like, it's war. What are you going to do?
Right.
Which for us, it was a little different because we were like, oh, I ain't used to that. Um,
Right. So you're telling whoa, whoa, whoa. I have a question. So are you telling me the hotel staff was going on about their day as if there was not a bomb going on or off like a mile down the road?
well, so in good news, I didn't hear any bombs going off
Okay.
once we got to Jerusalem. So the only time we saw fire, and again, I didn't hear any, we just saw smoke, was in route from the Sea of Galilee area to Jerusalem.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
over to the far side was the West Bank, and you could see, so in that area. But I mean, again, I didn't know that's the West Bank, that's Jericho. Like I didn't know that. I just noticed, oh, there's smoke over there.
Oh
That's
yeah.
interesting.
Well, look at that.
What's happening
That's
there?
that's a lot of smoke. Okay, and going
Right.
on with your day because I won't take a picture of that because I'll take a picture of something else. How were the roads and the stores and the people there? I know
Everyone
that's
was,
a
yeah, no, everyone literally, I think the part that was really interesting is that even though I felt safe the entire time, it was a matter of the normalcy, like how normal this situation was kind of for the people. So for the
oh my gosh.
people in Israel, at least, it was
It was
just
just Tuesday. It was just
exactly.
Tuesday.
But you could also tell because, like, where I was, we saw Palestine flags as well. So you could really see that this was a situation that had a lot of people divided, obviously, like it does still now, but also that this was a way of somewhat life. And so after we realized, well, after the airport started closing, Tel Aviv, where we had flew in, closed down, and the situation got worse,
Hmm.
we evacuated to Jordan, which I would say that that was the only time that I started to feel scared.
Right.
And I think it was a couple of things. Well, one, it was a 2 hour drive, two hour drive to the border of Jordan. And then we waited 3 hours on the bus because that's how long the line was to get into Jordan with a whole bunch of other groups trying to
Right.
cross the border. So we waited 3 hours to get into Jordan and then another 2.5 hours, 2.5, 3 hours to be processed. And then 5 hours after we got processed and all of that stuff, they closed the Jordan border down.
How many people were on the trip with you?
60.
Ooh, wow. And you
Six
flew
zero.
in separate. Like you were with the group, but you weren't traveling on their charter, as it were.
Exactly. Yeah. So the most of the group flew from Atlanta
Okay.
and I flew out of DC. And
Okay.
so that was also a really hard part. So I went on the trip with my mom and oh wow, sometimes it still gets me a little emotional, but we had to separate
Mm.
because they couldn't get that group of 60 out all in the one charter. And so they ended up having to start breaking up that group, which was like, okay, 8 people can get on this flight, 10 people can get on this flight. I had offered to even fly back to Atlanta if that was easier, just to not leave my mom. But because I was flying back to DC, it was easier for me to get on a flight to DC.
Mm.
And, it came the decision of, do I go and just, body on the plane, get out of here, get on a flight, or do I stay so then I can fly out and make sure my mom gets out? But the concern with that was that if I stayed and then she got out because she was going to Atlanta and something happened to the DC flight, then I would be there by myself.
Then you're stuck
Then
with
I'm stuck.
nobody, and she's at least with the group that she came with.
Exactly.
Right. Oh my God, that is heart wrenching. And mom is thinking, get on the. She's like, get on the
Yeah.
plane.
She's like, I don't know what you think you doing. You getting on the plane.
Right. She don't want to hear nothing. Mom is not having it. First
Right.
of all, she was already up doing push-ups. Okay. Mom was like, first of all, it's leg day. First of all,
Yeah.
it's still leg day. How about
Right.
that?
Right. So that was the hardest part, I think, for me was being in a space to where one, we had to separate. And then also with the crossing over to Jordan, that was the first time, here I'm used to the racism. Like but I'm used to my US type of
Right, right. It's a
racism.
certain right. It's a certain flavor. It's like that
There you
how
go.
it's like down south racism versus up north racism or out west. It is different. But now you're out of the country racism. And how was
Exactly.
that?
That was,
I
I
would
would say
think they
that that
would
was
be
the
okay.
time that I got scared. And I think it was because one of the things that I'm not used to is the whole gender piece. So now I'm a woman and, they're speaking to me very like, get away from here, shooing me. But then there's also this piece of the point that you're black that so for an example, we were there, like I said, we were waiting like 3 hours. It took us about 3 hours to get processed, and so there was this group of white travelers that were all sitting in this area, and then their group got called up to be processed. And so then my group went over to sit in the area that they were, and all of the police people came and they were like, no, 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 you can't sit there. You can't sit there. And I had to stop my mom because she was like, but they were, I was like, Mama, look, we not about to
We
argue
ain't
with
home.
these people. If they say
We
they
not
don't want us to sit here,
didn't
you
get.
better pull up your luggage and sit on your luggage. You can't sit on a bench.
It's like, listen, we not. This is not the time, Mom. She like, well, they were just Mom, right? Which is why you ain't want to leave her side either, because
Exactly.
she's giving them, first of all, what we not going to do, and you're like, yes, they will, because
Right.
we not home, Mom. You don't
Right.
get one phone call. You
Yeah.
don't have no stay, no civil rights.
That's the other thing, is like when
There
you're in
is
these
no
other countries,
attorney
you don't
Crump.
know what those rules are. Like even for the passport, like they wouldn't give you your passport back. Like they gave it to a man in our group, and then the man distributed all of our passports back to us.
Wait, so you hand your stuff to your passport to the general, your documents. They look it over and then they just give it to whoever the man is in the group.
They collect it, they kept it,
Then
and
they do their
then
thing
and then they give them all back to the men.
because they're in charge.
I mean, that's what it looks like.
Oh wow.
Things like we were a group of 60. And so in our group, we had one Italian lady traveling with us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even her, sometimes they would be like, are you sure you're with them? You're with them? Because she's the only, white person in our entire group. And she'd be like, yeah, I'm with them. And they're like, okay, well, you come to the front. And they would constantly bring her. So anytime we were in a line having to go, or process, and we were being processed out of one country, processed into another one, they would bring her wherever she was to the front of the line to lead the line.
Oh. So wait a minute. So it's like you're with them. All right, fine. Then we'll let them in. But now does she get I want the word gravitas, but does she get like play over the guys? If it's a black man and a white woman, who we choosing?
Well, so when it came to the line pieces, or who would go first with scanning and things like that, she would go first. But when it came to the whole passport thing, that was still very much male driven.
Patriarchal, very
Mm-hmm.
patriarchal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you were catching it on every end, and it just felt different.
Oh, it felt different. It felt like I could say, I don't know what I could say. It felt like they could literally do anything. And like
Wow.
you just be quiet. Like in those situations,
Right. So you felt
you
like a
just be
black person
quiet.
in the 1930s in America. So you
Yeah.
was on 1887 in Alabama. Like
Yeah.
you shut your mouth
You should
and you shut your mouth. Don't
exactly.
even
And
don't look
look,
at me.
honey, I'm mute. Okay? I am mute. No, 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 no. Shut up. All right. Zip. Like I'm not, just because I don't want that
You
smoke. I don't want no smoke in nobody
did
other
you give
country.
Dr.
Mm-mm.
Seles, you gave him the Friday when he was like, listen, he'd be like, shut up. He'd be quiet, but when he leave, I start talking again. You did the smoking. DB will be like, shut up. I be quiet, but when he leave,
Exactly.
I start
Exactly.
you like, I'm gonna go back. But no, I remember I was in Texas when you were in Gaza, and I
In
was at a
Israel.
conference, huh?
In Israel.
In Israel. I keep saying the
Mm-hmm.
wrong in
That's
Israel.
okay.
And your text messages to me, because I'm watching the news from our point of view, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching American news from Texas. So I'm watching it with obviously the American spin on it. And I'm like, this is not good. And I'm texting you, and you're like, no, everything's fine. We're okay. We're just moving along. And then as it got worse, I could feel the desperation in your text and how
Mm-hmm.
it was coming off. And I'm like, oh no, and I remember sitting at breakfast with my husband, and I'm like, yes, things have changed.
Yeah.
She is not as happy and go lucky as she was yesterday. Yesterday, you were like, no, we're just blah blah blah, and look at the picture of me, click click, Jesus. And then it was like, yeah, Jesus, I need you to get me out of here right now.
Yeah. I think the thing for me that changed was once things started closing down, like the airport started closing down and flights
Right.
started getting canceled. And then once I knew that, my mom and I wouldn't be able to leave at the same time, I think that that was when it was a moment of like, okay. And to be honest, I don't really know that whole situation in the sense of, like, I don't know how that works. Like, what's off limits, what's not off limits, and do you just go dropping bombs everywhere? Like,
Right.
are you
Right.
are you
Are we
targeting
part of the
tourist
Geneva
people?
Convention? Are we acknowledging the UN? Is there a treaty? I don't know. And are we just who's in? I don't know. It's too much.
Exactly. And then the other thing too that I didn't know until being there is that there's also the religion that comes into place. And so, you have Christianity is basically the lowest on the totem pole, like in regards to the way they look, the way they view
Perceive it.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So I also didn't know that part. Like,
Right.
I'm Christian, I'm black, and I'm an American. Like, is that a good
And a
thing over
woman.
here or a bad thing? Like,
Right. How does that play?
how does that play?
Right.
And
You're
I
like, I'm a
think,
doctor. Does that
girl,
they
yeah,
whatever. Sit down.
yeah.
Sit down.
So I think the last part that was just so scary was leaving. So once I finally got to Jordan, I had time to shower, eat, and then I had to be to the airport to get on a plane to head back here because again, it was planes on, bodies on planes, first flight out you can get. We need to get people out of here. And the flight was delayed for another almost 2.5 hours because they were concerned about the airspace. And that was
Oh
the
my
first time that I
goodness.
got on the plane and the fear wasn't the plane crashing. The fear
It
was that
was
the plane
gonna
would
get
be
shot
accidentally
down.
shot down.
Oh my God.
Um,
Mm.
yeah. So that
Yeah.
was so it was a lot, but I thank you
And
for
there's no other
everybody's
way to get home.
prayers.
It's not like, well, I'll just take a ferry. There's no other way. You have to get on
No.
this plane. And
Mhm.
you're like, how they know I'm friend or foe? And do they care if I'm friend or foe? That's the real
Exactly.
read. Do they even
Right.
care if they just shooting stuff down?
And so even in the whole delay thing, like, they were like, "Oh, it's just delayed." And you know me, I'm inquisitive. "Excuse me, sir. Why is the plane delayed?"
We
And then
said
they
so.
say, "We're trying to make sure the airspace is safe." So it's like, "Okay,
Right, right. You know what? I'm just gonna sit
you
down
guys
and
take
have
your
your
time."
version of a Coca-Cola. I'm gonna have your version of Coca-Cola, whatever that is. Oh, and it's still Coke. This is wonderful. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna sit down and have a spot of tea and shut my mouth.
Right. So, thank you so much for your prayers and everybody's prayers. I'm definitely praying for just that entire situation. It's just hurtful, and it
Mhm.
also made me realize the power that we have as believers to be able to believe
Yes.
what you want. And then, the other thing that someone brought up that I'd never thought about, but just even the privilege of being an American and being
Wow.
able to just cross over to whatever border, you know, and your passport is good. It's not on a
Right.
list to where like you
You
can't
can't
come
come in
in
here.
or
Right.
something like that. And so it was definitely a lesson. And I
Yeah.
would love to go back,
Yeah.
once they
But yeah, when you
get
look
it
at
together.
that, when you look at when they get it together, when you look at being an American and it changes when you go across real lines, we can go to Mexico or the DR, but when you really go somewhere and you realize how no, the American is not it's pretty good over here. It's not it's not so
Yes. My only thing was it was crazy because when I got back to the US, so one of the things that I love when I get back to the US and I travel through Atlanta, they
Mhm.
always say welcome home. And I just think that's so nice. Like, yes, welcome home. And so I came through DC. So they were just like, all right.
Yeah. Right.
You good.
They got folks traveling international all the time through
Right.
DC.
I'm
And see,
like, where's my welcome home? I've missed. I'm so
I
glad
was
to be back home.
I was wondering, were you going to drop on them? Like, listen, I work for DC. I work for the federal government.
Well, I did say, because at one point when we weren't sure if our travel agent was going to be able to get us out, I registered mom and myself on the State Department emergency
Yeah, you did.
send help.
Right. Right.
Send help now. So,
Send help now list. Right. I work for y'all. I'm so down. Oh my gosh. So that's how we doing it, huh? All right then. But we ain't talked about no games, but we can all right, well what we'll do is we'll wrap it up and
yeah.
just I'll do this one. We'll see.
Okay.
It's like a bonus joint.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, well obviously this part right here I'm gonna take out.
Okay.
So you can talk normal. But no, that was
Not
that was
normal.